Usually, posterior to the superior colliculus and inferior colliculus, we would see the cerebellum. But since it was removed, we can now see the floor of the fourth ventricle. At the posterior end of this floor, there locates a group of nuclei. A good way to locate them is to start from the most posterior point of the fourth ventricle, which is called the obex. Each type of nuclei is located lateral to the obex on both sides. We will now introduce the nuclei at the fourth ventricle floor, starting from the most posterior nucleus closest to the obex, and then move towards the most anterior nucleus. The first nucleus found immediately lateral to the obex is called the gracile nucleus. The second nucleus is called the cuneate nucleus. It is immediately lateral to the gracile nucleus, which again occurs on both sides of the obex. To distinguish the gracile nucleus and the cuneate nucleus from one another, first observe if they are on the same level as the obex. If the indicated nucleus is more lateral from the obex, then it should be the cuneate nucleus instead of the gracile nucleus, because the gracile nucleus is immediately lateral to the obex. Moving anterior to that, we now have the third nucleus, which is called the vagal nucleus. The vagal nucleus is slightly ventral to the previously mentioned nuclei. Next, if we trace along the side from the vagal nucleus towards the anterior until we hit a small bump, we can locate the fourth nucleus, which is called the vestibular nucleus. And if you look at the fourth ventricle floor as a whole, the vestibular nucleus is located in the middle. As mentioned earlier, this is the hippocampus. The most anterior part of the hippocampus is the dorsal fornix, which leads to the fimbria laterally. The fimbria is the most anterior part of the hippocampus. When flipped, the fimbria is this white band of matter here. Over here we have the dentate gyrus, and the deep groove found next to the dentate gyrus is the hippocampal fissure. So essentially the dentate gyrus is in between the fimbria and the hippocampal fissure. And this concludes Photoseries 4.